Hello, LAPCS scholars. How are you? Mr. Raleigh here. And today we're going to do the Monroe and Era Good Feelings Part 2. So make sure you have your graphic organizer that you started yesterday because you're going to add to it today. And you're going to fill it out. Make sure by the end of the week that you share it with both Miss Marks and myself. So Monroe and the Era of Good Feelings Part 2, the American System. The Second Bank of the United States. It was supported by the same Republicans who had opposed the First Bank of the United States, ironically. During the War of 1812, the United States experienced several inflationary periods and had difficulty in financing its military operations. As a result, Madison and Congress agreed to charter the bank for 20 more years. Bank of the United States made it so that money could be regulated nationally, controlled between states, and allowed the government to borrow money. So the state banks no longer had as much power as the Federal National Bank. Tariff of 1816. The Tariff of 1816 was created to protect U.S. manufacturing from British competition. The tariff was fees that were placed on goods coming into the country so that they would be a little more expensive, so people would be wanting to buy American products. After the war, Britain flooded the United States with cheap goods, often low cost, to undercut United States industries. Americans saw this as a British attempt to crush U.S. factories. So this was the first protective tariff in U.S. history. We do these now. We've got a bunch of them on China, and in fact, at the moment, imposed roughly 20 to 25% duties or fees on imports. It wasn't really high enough to provide effective protection. So it didn't really do much good. It just made things more expensive. Also, it started a protective trend in U.S. trade. The Great Triumvirate. Henry Clay, who was from Kentucky, represented Western views. He was a war hawk back in the War of 1812 and a very strong nationalist. He had a lot of pride in the United States. He saw tariffs as a way to develop a strong domestic market. In other words, goods being produced here in the States and sold at the same time. He believed that Eastern trade would flourish under tariff protection, Eastern as in the Eastern United States. He hoped that the tariff revenues would fund roads and canals in the West, especially in the Ohio Valley. That way, the West and the East parts of the country would be connected to each other, and then trade would flow as a result. John C. Calhoun, he was from South Carolina. He represented the Southern views, obviously. He was also a war hawk and strong nationalist. He initially supported the tariff, but he later claimed that it enriched New England manufacturers at the expense of the South. So he thought that the northern New England places would be getting more money than the South, and it would be a problem. Daniel Webster, he was from New Hampshire. He represented the northern views. He opposed the tariff. He feared it would damage the shipping industry. New England was not completely industrialized yet. Now, the reason he feared it would damage the shipping industry, that's from going from New England over to the other parts of the world. He's worried it would take away money that New England was making from trading with the rest of the world. Internal improvements. Calhoun's bonus bill of 1817 would have given federal funds to states for internal improvements, such as places like roads and bridges and all that kind of thing. President Madison vetoed the bill. He claimed that it was unconstitutional. His successor, James Monroe, also vetoed the legislation. Jeffersonians, from the Jeffersonian democracy, opposed direct federal support of intrastate internal improvements. Internal improvements that went from between the states, like if you had roads, it went from one state to the next, or a bridge took you from one state to the next, that sort of thing. He saw this as a states' rights issue, so the states should be able to work there, not the national government. New England opposed federally built roads and canals, fearing it would drain away population and create competing states in the West. The best thing to do was to keep your population where they were, so that you can manufacture things, so you can sell things, keep it all in one spot. The Panic of 1819, it was an economic panic, and it was a depression that hit in 1819. It was the first financial panic since the critical period of the 1780s under the Articles of Confederation. Panics and depressions occur approximately every 20 years. 1819, 1837, 1857, 1873, 93, 1907, 1929. We've had a few of them since then, including the one in 2008. And we also had one this year in 2020. So, quick comprehension check. This is going to go on your graphic organizer. Under the American system, explain the importance of the chartering of a new national bank and the tariff of 1816. Describe each. Go back to some of the other slides, just rewind a little bit. And there you go. So make sure you fill this out and then keep it for tomorrow. And you'll fill it out more tomorrow. So have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching.